You know, there is this incredibly frustrating phenomenon that almost nobody talks about when you first start trying to build wealth. Why is it that investing your first $100 feels exactly like trying to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a literal teaspoon? Think about it. You finally decide to do the responsible thing, right? You skip the takeout, you transfer that money from your checking account on a Tuesday night, you feel great about it. And then you open the app the very next morning and you're actually down 14 cents because of some completely random market fluctuation. It is just so entirely defeating. There are absolutely no fireworks, that $100 won't cover a plane ticket, it certainly won't pay a rent, and quite frankly, the visual progress falls completely below the perceptual threshold that our human brains actually require to feel like a strategy is working. You just sit there staring at your phone wondering, is this it? Seriously? Is the whole system just broken?
And a huge part of that frustration comes from this deeply ingrained fantasy we all share about how wealth is actually supposed to grow. We tend to view investing kind of like a vending machine. You put $1 in, and you instantly get exactly $1 closer to $1 million. In our heads, it's this perfectly predictable, straight upward diagonal line. But the reality of compounding, it is a brutally flat, agonizingly boring line for years and years. You are sweating, you are saving, you are putting in the money month after month, and that curve barely even lifts off the floor. But then, almost like magic, it hits this specific mathematical threshold and suddenly arcs upward exponentially. It goes vertical. The tragedy is that most people actually quit right there in the middle of that flat line. They just give up because they completely misinterpret that painfully slow start as a failed strategy. They think they're doing something wrong, but they aren't. They just haven't hit that upward arc yet.
So, welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you're someone I like to call a focused learner, meaning you are completely tired of generic, fluffy financial advice, and you actually want to understand the raw math, the deep psychology, and the absolute reality of how ordinary, everyday money transforms into massive, multi-million-dollar momentum, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we are going to completely and fundamentally rewire how you view, how you save, and ultimately, how you compound your capital.
To do that, here is our roadmap for today's journey. We are going to start with Section 1, Rewiring the Money Brain. Then we'll move into Phase 1, the Manual Engine. After that, we'll dive into the really thrilling part, the Compounding Phase Transition. From there, we'll explore something called the Capital Owner Shift, and we'll wrap it all up with Designing Your Total Freedom. Okay, let's dive right into this.
Starting off with Section 1, Rewiring the Money Brain. We are talking about building systems over willpower.
Right out of the gate, we have to address a massive foundational problem. The main reason most people fail to build wealth over the long term is absolutely not a lack of discipline. It is because traditional budgeting relies entirely on human willpower. And let me tell you, human willpower is a terrible, highly exhaustible financial system. At the end of a long, stressful workday, your willpower is zero. We don't need better intentions, we need behavioral design. And the ultimate fix for this is the two-account system. See, if you dump all of your hard-earned money into one single checking account, your brain tricks you. It looks at that balance and treats it as one giant, frictionless pile of spending money, conveniently forgetting that rent, groceries, and the electric bill are due next Thursday. So instead, you split it. Step 1 is your bills account. You sit down, calculate your fixed monthly expenses, your rent, your internet, that $50 utility bill, and you route that exact specific amount from your paycheck directly into this account. And here's the absolutely crucial catch. You do not ever carry a debit card for this account in your wallet. It literally only exists to automatically pay bills. Then, step 2 is your spending account. Whatever is left over after the bills are funded goes here. This is your guilt-free, entirely flexible cash. If this account says you have exactly $120, that is your absolute hard reality. You can spend it on whatever you want, but when it's gone, it's gone. By doing this, you have just made wildly overspending mathematically impossible, and you never have to do stressful mental math at a checkout counter ever again. Moving right along to Section 2, Phase 1, the Manual Engine. This is all about why your own effort is literally the only thing that matters early on. Okay, so with our day-to-day spending finally under complete control, let's look at the very first phase of investing. I want you to think of compound interest exactly like a turbocharger in a high-performance car engine. A turbo basically uses the waste exhaust from the engine to spin a turbine, which then forces more fresh air back into the engine, creating this massive, beautiful feedback loop of extreme power. But here is the thing about a turbocharger, it physically does absolutely nothing at low RPMs. When the car is just starting to accelerate, the engine is running entirely on direct combustion, meaning it's running purely on your manual effort. When your investment portfolio is small, you are the engine. You are providing literally all of the power manually through your monthly cash contributions. Which brings us to a concept called the phase transition. This isn't just a vague idea. It is the exact calculable month in your wealth-building journey when the turbo finally spools up and kicks in. It is that magical moment when your actual investment returns begin to outpace what you are manually contributing from your paycheck. The single most dangerous mistake everyday investors make is feeling that dull, agonizing frustration of the early manual phase, the flat line we talked about, and incorrectly diagnosing it as, oh, my return rate is just too low. They convince themselves they need to pick a better stock, find some highly risky crypto, or invent a complex trading strategy. No, listen to me. Your strategy is perfectly fine. You just haven't hit the phase transition yet. You don't need a new, riskier engine. You just need to feed the current engine more fuel.
And when we actually break down the math, this becomes crystal clear. Let's look at a very realistic 8% annual return, which historically aligns perfectly with just holding broad market index funds over the long term. If you invest $50 a month, after 30 years of absolute, perfect discipline, you walk away with about $74,500. Now, depending on where you live, that won't even cover 2 full years of average living expenses. It's just not enough. But look at what happens when you figure out how to bump that monthly contribution up to $400 a month. You cross a massive, life-altering threshold and end up with nearly $600,000 in that exact same 30-year window. The variable that actually changes your life isn't driving yourself crazy trying to chase an impossible 16% return on a tiny $50 investment. It's doing the practical work to figure out how to contribute $400. By the way, if you love seeing these exact, no-nonsense mathematical breakdowns that genuinely change how you approach building wealth, make sure to hit subscribe to Langford Invests. We drop deep dive explainers just like this regularly to make sure your financial momentum becomes completely unstoppable.
So the obvious question is, how on earth do we actually get that contribution number up without feeling completely miserable and restricted? You execute these 3 very specific levels. Step 1 is right sizing. I want you to log into your brokerage account today and bump your automatic transfer by just $50 a month. Just 50. You won't even notice it's gone from your checking account. But over 20 years, that one tiny 15-minute decision is worth almost $30,000 in future wealth. Step 2 is redirecting. We have to talk about the lifestyle ratchet. It is a silent wealth killer. You get a raise, and suddenly you're buying nicer groceries and taking an extra vacation, and the money vanishes. Whenever you get a raise at work, immediately automate 50% of that new net money straight into your investments before you ever even get used to seeing it in your bank account. You still get a lifestyle upgrade with the other half, but your wealth grows simultaneously. And finally, step 3, resets. This is the absolute game changer. Let's say you have a $400 monthly payment on your Honda Civic and you finally pay it off. The worst thing you can do is let that $400 slowly vanish into extra takeout food and random streaming subscriptions. The exact day that car loan clears, you redirect that $400 automatic payment straight into your investment account. You won't feel deprived for even a single second because your lifestyle is already perfectly used to living without that money.
All right, let's jump to section 3, the compounding phase transition. This is exactly what happens when the math finally takes over.
Now we get to see how all this pressure builds once you actually cross the threshold. You've been feeding the engine, you've added the fuel, and finally, your account balance crosses that massive $100,000 mark. And suddenly, the math just wakes up. The turbo is officially engaged. You have entered the compounding phase transition. This timeline perfectly maps out what you are going to experience next. Reaching your first $100,000 is a brutal, exhausting grind. Honestly, it might take you 8 long years of packing lunches and skipping trips just to get there. But because compounding is finally woken up, accumulating your next $100,000 might only take you 5 years, and the $100,000 after that, maybe 3 years. Why? Because your money is now effectively acting as a second, highly efficient full-time employee working 24/7, entirely in the background, making money on top of your money. By the time you hit the $300,000 mark, the momentum becomes genuinely unstoppable. The market gains start violently stacking on top of previous market gains. Then at $650,000, the passive income being generated is actually enough to act as a permanent, bulletproof safety net for your basic life necessities. And at $1 million, the timeline completely collapses on itself, and the math becomes honestly absurd to watch. The shift between these milestones isn't just numerical on a spreadsheet. It is a total, fundamental rewiring of your nervous system, your stress levels, and quite frankly, how deeply you sleep at night. Which leads us directly into section 4, the capital owner shift.
why you are now playing a completely different game.
As you cross over that magical seven-figure mark, something profound happens that almost nobody in the financial world is brave enough to just say out loud. You don't just become a richer version of your old self. Your actual fundamental identity inside the global economy completely transforms. When you start out as a saver, you are entirely playing on offense. You are aggressively stacking pennies, you are exhausting yourself, trading your precious life hours for bi-weekly paychecks, and your entire mental bandwidth is completely obsessed with just adding more to the pile. But once you cross over into being a capital owner, your brain literally rewires itself to play defense. You are no longer trading your hours for cash, you are acting like a general, deploying vast armies of dollars out into the market to go work for you. The challenges completely change. It is no longer about finding an extra $50 to save on groceries. Suddenly your problems are about tax loss harvesting, deep asset protection, and figuring out how to strategically place high turnover mutual funds into tax-advantaged accounts so the government doesn't take your gains. You officially transition from being someone who merely sells their physical labor to survive to someone who expertly manages capital to thrive.
And that brings us to our final core topic, Section 5, Designing Your Total Freedom, Owning a Live-In. Let's bring all this really profound, high-level theory all the way down to the ultimate practical everyday goal. Because look, the point of all this intense saving and investing isn't just to look ridiculously rich on a random Excel spreadsheet or to buy a slightly bigger house than your neighbor. The ultimate overarching point of wealth is buying back your time. It is about making the massive leap from simply earning a living to actually owning a living. People in the personal finance space love to throw around these highly intimidating figures, telling you that you need $2 million or $5 million to even think about retiring. But if we use very conservative withdrawal rates, often tied to the classic 4% rule of thumb or similar metrics, the truly shocking reality is that a single $500,000 nest egg parked quietly in broad market index funds kicks off some serious life-changing growth. Even if we look at very conservative 5% yields, that single pile of money is generating $25,000 a year in completely passive income. Now think about that. If your monthly living expenses are highly optimized and you don't have massive debt, $25,000 is enough passive income to literally cover the lights, the food, and the rent. You aren't draining your main pile of money like a sad, leaking bathtub. You are simply living comfortably off the continuous overflow. If you can learn to live well on the output of this specific number, you possess the power to walk into your boss's office tomorrow morning, hand in your keys, and escape mandatory work forever. But getting to that level of absolute freedom requires deeply internalizing this next concept. I call it the second price tag. This is the invisible, devastating cost of what your spent money would have become if you had just left it alone to compound. Let me put it this way. When you decide to go out and buy a shiny new $30,000 truck on a massive 6-year loan, you aren't just losing $30,000. That's just the retail price. You are actually paying a massive, crushing second price tag, which equals the hundreds of thousands of dollars that specific money would have naturally compounded into over the next 20 years. Car dealerships and these long-term consumer loan companies literally practically trap the entire middle class using this exact psychological blind spot. People just look at the monthly payment and think they can afford it. But that car payment trap doesn't just cost you your current cash. It is actually robbing you of your future freedom. It costs you your compounding momentum, entirely resetting your wealth engine back to zero.
Which perfectly brings us to our final parting thought for this explainer. Wealth is piles of options, not piles of stuff. Real, lasting wealth isn't the depreciating luxury cars sitting in the driveway, and it's certainly not the designer labels hanging in the closet. Real wealth is the absolute power to confidently say no to things that drain their energy. It is the power to go to sleep on a Tuesday without having to set an alarm clock for Wednesday morning. It's the freedom to support causes you deeply love and to finally reclaim the single most valuable resource that actually matters in this world, your time. So I want to leave you with this question to chew on. What is your next big purchase really costing you? And are you finally ready to stop delaying and start your compounding engine today? Thank you so much for learning with me on this explainer. Start exactly where you are right now, build your automated systems, and just let time do all the heavy lifting. Catch you next time.
Thanks for watching. If this gave you a new way to think about your wealth, subscribe to Langford Invests. Leave a comment below with the one savings move you're making this year, and I'll see you in the next one.